BMW E39 hidden menu. Most people know the gauge cluster has all kind of displays and things that'll tell you. My pixels are bad. But if you push and hold the right button there, it says check control. You keep holding, then it says test, it's supposed to be NR1. You keep scrolling till you get to 7. Then you hit the left button. Mine's at 50 degrees Celsius. If you look at my temperature gauge, it's just out of the blue. And I'm not sure a lot of people understand that the temperature gauge on the BMWs is filtered to not really show the accurate temperature. If we just watch it here for a second. I'm at 54 degrees Celsius, and we're out of the blue. Now, the way I did all this, first time you do it, or anytime you unplug the gauge cluster from the car, you have to hit the right button, hold it down, and then you have to go to, I think, test 19. And then you have to add up the last 6 digits of your VIN, enter that value, then you can do what I just did. You gotta follow the exact directions. I'm not doing exact directions here. I'm just showing the filtered temperature gauge and how I like to monitor my temperature. It's in Celsius. You cannot make it Fahrenheit, so learn to think Celsius, where 100 degrees is boiling instead of 212 for Fahrenheit. Okay, we're up to 60 degrees Celsius, and the gauge is up to the first hash. Once we get to 75 degrees Celsius on the display, and yes, I know my pixels are bad, but I get the idea, 62. When we get to 75, it'll stay there. And it stays at 75 up until I think you get to 120 Celsius. So the gauge point strapping down, which is at 75 degrees Celsius, doesn't mean the thing's exactly in the right spot. That's why I do, every time I drive the car, because the cooling, I've done my cooling system, water pump, all the hoses, all the under the manifold, pipes, radiator. I've done everything. I've replaced it all in the last 30,000 miles. But in Texas, where it's only 79 degrees out right now, where it's hot, I want to know what my temperature is. And this thing has a heated thermostat. It wants it to stay at 96 to 98 degrees going down the road. But as soon as you get on the power, the thermostat will start heating up, open up all the way, and the coolant will drop to mid-80s, climbing a hill. Then as soon as you top the hill, start going back down again, right back up to 98 degrees. See, we're at 68 on the display. We're almost strapping down on the gauge. Once I get to 75, it'll be strapping down and it'll stay there. And it never gets below 70, or mine never gets below 84. Climbing a big hill on the highway at 90 miles an hour, that's it. It won't get below that 84, 85 degrees. So we're at 70, almost strapping down. As soon as it hits, there's 71. As soon as it hits 75, this thing will stay strapping down and it will not move. Unless by the time it moves to overheat, you're already overheated. You're in trouble. You see the gauge go right, just turn it off and coast to where you are. But remember, at night, if you try to turn the key off, your lights go off too. It's a fun little fact I found out one day after hitting a raccoon. All right, 74 degrees, almost strapping down. 75 degrees, it is strapping down. It moved just a hair more. It'll stay there no matter what else it happens till I get over 120 or back below 75. Just a fun fact about the hidden menu on the E39 gauge cluster.